In the equity quadrant, all three main indices lost the majority of their rally late in the day, but the Dow lagged early. Boeing kept pressure on the Dow, being down as much as 2.5% again, as a Seattle newspaper reported that the FAA was looking into accusations that most of the safety inspections and safety reviews done on the 737 Air Max were done by Boeing and were done incorrectly, and so it was kind of a lax sort of safety precautionary process taking place by the FAA. Seattle Times was reporting on that. So that hit Boeing again, down 2.5%, finished up the day down a little bit more than 2%, which kept pressure on the Dow most of the day. And as we got in toward the end of the day, the Dow seemed to pull the other two major indices down with it, whereas the Dow finished right around the flat line, the S&P and the NASDAQ barely up a couple of basis points. Everything was all quiet on the trade front. Early on, it seemed like no news was good news in trade. There was a small report of trade negotiations that were supposed to begin tomorrow being pushed back a day or so, but nothing structural in that announcement. If it would have been, we would have seen the Dow and the S&P and the NASDAQ get hit quite a bit more. That didn't happen, and we had a very, very low volume session in the Dow after the quadruple witching volume that we saw on Friday, which was extremely high. Today was half of a normal volume, about a quarter of the volume that we saw on Friday in the Dow. And then lastly, the markets really are waiting on the Fed meeting anyway. The majority of the U.S. data that's coming out this week is really the crux of it, is that Fed meeting, not because there's going to be a rate hike, but because the markets are looking for some sort of guidance as to what the Fed is going to do in terms of continuing to shrink their balance sheet or halting that balance sheet shrinkage, which is known as quantitative tightening. If they make any sort of comments on quantitative tightening, either way, the market should react to that, but that meeting is not till mid this week.